And good morning, everybody. This is the Falcons Podcast. It is Wednesday, week something or other after another X amount of losing streak games for the Atlanta Falcons. I lose track these days. I think we just got a little bit of rain here, but it should be another nice day, springish day here. But we're going to get into it today, and this one might be a little spicy today. It might be a little spicy. I think everybody's a little fired up here. Policy says, when will the forehead ads debut? Not today. I guess I should just put one up there for proof of concept to try and sell. This space is available like they do on billboards out there. But we're going to get into it. NFL Insider with a 33rd team on his podcast, Ari Meirov. Apologies if I've screwed up your name. He called Atlanta the number one hotspot for coaching and general manager and possible president of operations change, a complete overhaul. Number one hotspot. So we're going to get into that in a big way. We'll do some reshuffling, some arguments. Is it as bad as you think? What next? What happens with Penix? Because since we've last talked, Michael Penix has been put on the IR. It's been a big 48 hours since we were last year. So first off, just setting the tone. Nick, how are you doing this morning, my friend? It's good to see you.
Yeah, I'm doing well. The new job is going pretty well. I do miss my office view with Rainier, but don't have that anymore. So that's a little bit too bad out there in Seattle. That was great, especially this time of year when I was getting to the office before the sun was up because there's so little sunlight in the winter up there. But enjoying it. It's been unseasonably hot and dry out here, I guess, but doing well. Yeah, excited for Thanksgiving and sad about my Hawkeyes, happy about my Broncos, sad about our Falcons.
Yeah, it's frustrating. It is. And I know there's some people in here that want to say hello, have already said hello, and I want to get some of their comments too. That's why we do these live. We like having the conversation with y'all. Rusty coming in. He was the first one in. Good to see you, Rusty. Hope you're doing well. He says only the Falcons spend a top 8 pick, almost $200 million on a quarterback. It will be 100. It'll be half of that, but over 2 seasons, it'll be $100 million guaranteed. It's $50 million a year to not end up with a quarterback, end up in quarterback hell a year and a half later. Sounds like Atlanta to me. Yeah, the whole thing was it was such a misappropriation of resources from the get-go. Maybe if, we're not going to rehash Penix's injury problems in college. Quarterbacks get hurt, we know. But maybe if you had built a stronger team around Penix with that $100 million guaranteed, maybe you're Davis Millsing this thing with the Houston Texans. The Houston Texans started 0-3. They're 5-5 now. They're 5-2 in their last 3 games with Davis Mills as their quarterback because they've got a great infrastructure. They've got a great system. Maybe when Brock Purdy goes down, you've built a good enough team and structure around him that Mac Jones can come in off the scrap heap and keep you afloat, even thriving, beating the Atlanta Falcons. You didn't flush $100 million down the toilet on a quarterback that you weren't going to back. You didn't believe that was good enough to take you where you wanted to be. It's frustrating, Rusty. I get it. And he follows up, this could be the last we see of Penix. If there is a regime change, there's a chance Penix took his last snap as a Falcon. A new coach might not be sold on an injury-prone quarterback with question marks still around his game. And Nick, what I'll say to that, and I'll serve it over to you, is Penix will get his chances. He's a rookie on a rookie contract. He may end up Anthony Richardson. It may end up he's just not good enough and you bring somebody else in, but he will get his chances to compete. I think Anthony had 2+ seasons as the starter and couldn't do it. And this is his 3rd year, I believe.
You're right.
And then they brought in competition and he's just out. But he'll get next season if he's healthy, and he'll get his chances because he's on a rookie contract. And if he's not any good, you can't trade him anyway. Yeah. So he'll get his chances.
The caveat here is that if his injury is serious enough that he misses most of all next season, I don't know what the long-term prognosis is for his knee. I know it's the same left. I believe it's the left knee that he's had multiple injuries on.
I thought it was the right one this time, but okay. I think it was the new knee, the good one.
Okay, well, was good. But if he misses next season, let's just say, or like, the last 4 games he comes in, and the Falcons have already kind of spun the drain, and you're sitting there picking in the top 3. I mean, you've already be 3 years into the Penix experience. You would not know very much, and you probably have a chance at a quarterback in that case. So there is a pathway where that is the case. I'm hoping that's not the case. I'm hoping Penix, full off season, good prognosis, and we can see him out there week 1, 2026. But if he is hurt and out for a lot of the next season, or because he misses the offseason program and struggles, it's going to be, we'll have to have that conversation, but we're probably still a year off. If you had your pick, Scott, and a new regime was coming in, like, let's say we're the Falcons picking right now 7, or the Rams, I guess, something like that, then we might have that conversation. But you don't. So here we are. And Penix sadly looked pretty good before going down. So granted, Panthers haven't had an unbelievable secondary this season, but you just have to hope for the best all around.
Yeah, I don't think Penix, he'll get his chances. And I'm going to come back. There's a lot of things, since we're on this subject, I want to talk to Larry. So Scott, did you see what the doctor on the Believe podcast, which is Michael Turner and the other brother, I think that's Ove, Mugafio. How do you even say his last name? Former fullback, beast, love fullbacks. Said MP9 said Michael Penix suffered a sprain, not a tear or an ACL tear. Why is the league saying a tear? And he's saying that Michael Penix Jr. will be fine. Well, I'm not going to believe some random doctor on a podcast. He doesn't know. The only thing they've said for sure publicly, and it's leaked out, is that it's a partial tear. We don't know that 100%, but it was aggravating the same knee where he had the bone bruise, which is his right knee. That's what we've heard. Now, that he is immediately IR'd for 4 weeks doesn't say bone bruise to me. That says at least partial tear. Partial tear might as well be a full tear. It just heals quicker. You're still going to need surgery. You're still going to be out for the season. Now, he's not a cornerback. He's not a quick twitch running back or wide receiver. He is a rocket arm quarterback. Mobility is not his strong suit. He's fast, but he's not beating people with his legs. If he's got a partial tear of his ACL, if he gets surgery over Thanksgiving, he could be back throwing again by Valentine's Day. So he would be fine for off-season programs, et cetera, et cetera. It's just the worry that, hey, this isn't his first rodeo, when it comes to this. And, that wasn't a secret. That wasn't a big surprise in there. And that's Larry. Appreciate you coming in with the podcast. So this is a great comment, and I did see. So I wanted to address this, but thanks for the super chat anyway. The support it certainly helps what we're doing, what we do here. Curtis Case. He is a dear member. Be like Curtis. Be a member. We need you. We need you in the fold, in the nest, or up top on the perch. There's two different status levels for support. He says, good morning, Scott, Nick. That's you, Nick. And Falcons Nation. That's all y'all. So what's our salary cap look like for next season? Can we make any moves? Yes. You'll be able to make lots of moves, actually. You should be around middle of the pack. I came up with $60 million easy. And I cannot believe, Nick, we talk about this all the time. There's people that are fans of players, not teams. Mm-hmm. They seem to show up in our comments on social media as some of the biggest a-holes in the space.
It's kind of
I cannot believe. Now, I've had a couple decent conversations with this, and I've been happy to point out there's no way, but I cannot believe there's anybody that thinks Kirk Cousins is playing on a $57 million cap hit next year with the Atlanta Falcons. He's so gone. He's gone. Now, $57 million cap hit. Because you took the extra 10 on, it went from a 25 dead to 35 dead. So you gained $22 million by cutting him. You can spread that across 2 seasons if you want to. Or if you're a new regime and you want to come in, just eat it. Eat it like the Falcons did in 2022 and just take the whole thing on, and you're still saving $22 million. Darnell Mooney is gone. Just no way. That was another one. But I came up with $60 million pretty quick without even touching anybody else's contracts. And frankly, Jesse Bates is in the discussion right now too. y'all. So
he was horrible in this game. My God.
Yeah, he hasn't been great, and he's going to be a $20 million safety next year.
Yeah, I mean, we kind of saw that as Broncos, covering the Broncos, Justin Simmons, All-Pro, Pro Bowl. Wow, not good anymore. Fell off. So that's we'll definitely see what happens there. But you're right. You guys will be able to clear up a lot of money. Right now, you're sitting, I think, 24th in cap space, but that's with those contracts you mentioned on there. So we'll see what happens with all of them. But yeah, you have a lot of flexibility and direction with the contracts and the cap. Not so much your draft picks, but we'll see what comes of that.
Curtis comes in back to back. He says wide receivers, talking about acquisitions. Wide receivers 2 and 3, cornerbacks 2, and a linebacker. I would invest in the OL. No quarterback will survive with this line, and we only have 5 picks for this coming draft. Probably won't even be 5. If Terry Fontenot's there, he'll trade up a couple times. He likes to spend 2 for 1 on a lot of guys. But yes, 2 wide receivers are a must. Free agency and draft. At number 2 overall, second round, which will be probably 40 to 45 in that range. I would go best player. If there's a big difference between one, I would go cornerback, wide receiver, or if there's a monster defensive lineman. Because Nick, you've been able to get a difference maker defensive lineman in that range the last couple of years too.
And it's shaping up. We're still a ways to go, obviously, but it looks like you're going to have some pretty good 0-1 techniques in the upcoming class. And that's something that this defensive front, while they're talented, they're slender. You're not winning the early downs as much as far as mucking things up and freeing guys up. So I'd keep an eye on the interior defensive line too, to go with Rook and Zach, just because it's a value position. Although in theory, Scott, a lot of times you can find a plugger in free agency as well for relatively cheap. There's almost 1 or 2 every year that end up being like the ball knowers will know them, but Lopez in Detroit this season, you had Poona Ford seems always available. There's somebody else I'm forgetting right now, but you can always find some pluggers. But yeah, team is far enough away. You're not one piece away. Take a value position, and I'm with Curtis here too. It's something I've been banging the table for since he drafted Penix. Like, you're going to have to be an offensive line first team now. And it's not just Penix. It's also maximizing Bijan because, just taking the Raiders, for example, you use the 6th overall pick on Ashton Genty and you have the worst running game in football. It's not Genty's fault. Your offensive line is unbelievably terrible.
Yeah,
so you got to make
taking a tight end with a bad offensive line, bad defense, and a rickety old expensive quarterback. That's building backwards.
Yep. So I would like the Falcons to become a team that you're striving to have at worst a top 10 offensive line every year. And I know that it might come at expense of the defense, some of the playmakers on the perimeter, but you have Bijan and you have an injured quarterback that had a lot of injuries. So offensive line needs to be the priority. And
you've got a right tackle. You've got a right tackle who'll be coming back off of his knee injury where agility wasn't exactly a strong suit to begin with. Mm-hmm. So there needs to be some investment there. And Curtis, as Rusty says, what a mess. And he's just talking about the the quarterback situation. Yeah. John Harrell's a member. Good to see you, John. He says, why not just start Easton and see if he can play? He can't, but I'd rather see Easton play at this point. He can run. Oh God, he can run. I'd rather see some RPOs put in there. And if you're in the pistol anyway, a play action, it's not a run, it's not an RPO, but it's with Penix because he's not going to run it. But the read is the same for the quarterback. The blocking might be a little bit different, but they know that to begin with. Is this going to be a run or a pass? If he can read the tackle on the read the end coming off tackle on the option on the play action, he could take off. Cousins isn't going to do that, and Cousins can't throw the ball outside the hash marks, the little hash marks in the NFL. I mean, he's done. Kirk Cousins is done. So we've seen
one thing I will get
out
into
there
here
to go, oh my God, he's cooked. So, why not? I'm with you on this. Why not?
I think
he's not exactly going to save your season anyway. Go ahead, Nick.
The one reason you wouldn't is that the players in the locker room know who's good and who's not. And these guys, while the season for the Falcons has circled the drain, or is still spinning the drain. The players that are on the field are still trying to put out good individual tape and trying to make money down the line. And if in practice locker room, it's quite obviously that Cousins is better than Easton Stick, you're messing with guys' bottom lines and careers if you're playing the worst player, especially one that isn't the future, like potential future. Like Stick is not going to be the future of this team. So that's my one pushback. Granted, you might already have guys saying 1, 2, 3 Cabo in the huddle.
And you might, and we're making an assumption that Cousins at this point of his career is better than.
Yeah. And that's the obvious assumption there.
We don't know that for sure, honestly.
But that's the one thing that is like, okay, well, they would probably know in the locker room what's going on there. And it's a hard sell to play the obviously worst player. Even when the season collective goals are done, these guys are trying to put out tape to make money and a career still down the line. And does that matter so much for, who cares about this season? Like it might impact your ability to bring in free agents next year as well. You hear about that. Like they're not doing what's best for your player's interest at that point. So just wanted to push back. I've had that conversation before, and that's the one that's always like, well, again, the bottom line is these guys are trying to make a living and they still have tape to put out there to earn future cash. So that does matter in the conversation.
No, I agree with you. And Cash Bag Beats, appreciate you coming in. We talked a little bit about this, about his prep. We got to find out more about it. A partial ligaments don't heal themselves. They're not like muscles or skin wounds, anything like that, or even bones. They will not reset and reheal themselves. A tear will stay a tear. Mm-hmm. So if it is torn, it needs to be repaired. But you're hoping it's a partial would be a lot quicker healing and a lot easier surgery than anything like that. So we'll see. We got to wait for more information. Following back up, Cash, he says, how much success can we really expect when the coaching staff has to be replaced almost entirely? Well, I'm going to answer that with a question, and then we'll get into some other answers. My question would be, how much success can you really expect if you don't entirely replace the coaching staff? I know I've got an answer for that question. None. I don't expect any success with this staff. None. So therefore, you kind of have to make a change. Well, the people in charge, they'll pick the wrong guy anyway. Fine. But that doesn't mean you stay in a bad relationship just because you're bad at picking your next girlfriends. You got to try and get better. Don't stay in it for fear of, well, I might not be able to do any better than this. Yeah, that's bad. I know. Trust me. We talked about this for a minute on Monday. Now I've been married 25 years. I learned. I got better. I got more experience. I picked a winner. But how much success can, talk about those guys here. I'm going to play this sound clip real quick. From the title of the show. Ari Meirov drops Atlanta Falcons coaching bombshell. This is from his podcast on the 33rd team. I'm going to put the link also to his podcast in the chat. It looks like it's fairly new. He's only got like 2,600 subscribers and it got like 500,000 views on X. So let's listen to this. He called it the number one hotspot for coaching and general manager, and he throws someone else in there too. So here we go.
But I think the ownership group over here is going to take a hard look at everybody here, because these are the people they decided to keep. When they fired Arthur Smith the first time, decided to keep everybody here. With Terry Fontenot, with Rich McKay, they were the ones who convinced ownership to go out there and hire Raheem Morris over that list of Mike Vrabel and Ben Johnson and Mike McDonald and Bill Belichick and Jim Harbaugh. So when those other coaches are having success elsewhere, I guess besides for Bill Belichick, that's not good. And the people who convinced Arthur Blank to do it were Terry Fontenot and were Rich McKay.
So what kind of success can you expect to have? Mike McDonald. Now, I'm not one here. Listen, I will be as critical as the Falcons as anybody, but I'm not going to make assumptions. Oh, they interviewed all those guys. They had their pick of those guys. No, those guys got other jobs. The Falcons weren't sitting on top of the heap with their pick. So the only one I know for sure that they could have had was Bill Belichick, who was the only one that's failing out of that bunch. That's the only one we know. Ben Johnson didn't even take a job. He waited a year and took a job this year. So he didn't even take a job. So I'm not going to say, oh, you had all these guys and you missed. You missed, but you didn't necessarily choose one over the others. You just might not have been able to pitch your team and situation and everything well enough to recruit those guys. Now that's a fault. But Vrabel, Patriots, how they doing?
I mean, God, Vrabel's the dude.
Enough.
He's
Mike
coaching
McDonald in Seattle. They've been pretty good.
Yes. Oh, they're really good. They might be the best team in football. I know they just lost to the Rams, but like they're neck and neck with the Rams for the best team in football.
Ben Johnson, we've seen a lot of similarities recently between the rebuilding and their, the asset collection of the Bears and the Falcons. Where are the Bears right now? 7-3?
First place in the NFC North.
And who was the last one? Was I forgot who the last one was, he said.
Ben mentioned Belichick.
Yeah, but he said there were 4. Oh, Harbaugh. He wasn't getting Harbaugh.
No.
But
McDonald was there.
Yeah, but Harbaugh, I think didn't the Chargers go to the playoffs last year?
Yes, they got beat up real bad by the Texans.
Yeah. So again, those are in a season and a half. Those are pretty good teams.
Mm-hmm.
And those are just the ones that the Falcons interviewed. Now, again, I'm not going to say you selected this guy over these guys. Look at what idiots you are. We don't know that's true. We don't. What I do know is they didn't get those guys, which might be a bigger indictment on what is going on with the Atlanta Falcons and the quality of the overall franchise, which seems to be a pretty good place to work. But Nick, I tell you what, y'all have heard me get on this before. If you're turning down Bill Belichick because of the culture, and Terry Fontenot and Rich McKay are whispering in Arthur Blank's ear, oh, it'll upset everybody here. It'll be upset. It'll be upset. Y'all are too comfortable.
Down.
And as Ari just said, it might be a house cleaning. Because the guys that are responsible for Raheem Morris being there and 3-7, according to Ari, were Terry Fontenot and Rich McKay.
Yeah. The one thing that's unfortunate, Scott, is as it stands right now, the names that are likely head coaching candidates don't seem to totally align with what I'd hoped for the Falcons. Now, granted, how good of a job in the pecking order is the Falcons' job when you don't have the picks and Penix is coming off the injury and everything. But, I mean, you talk about on the defensive side of the ball, do you want to hire another defensive backs-oriented coach? Vance Joseph would be a heck of a get for some franchise, but is that could you go back, the defensive side's retread quarterback like Raheem Morris here? I don't know. I think with some Wade Phillips ties as well. And then you also have coming out of it, I mean, could you bring in the Rams defensive coordinator right now who's doing a really good job is Chris Shula. I mean, I don't know if you can double dip there. I don't think that Clint Kubiak's a great fit for Penix personally. I mean, I've talked about this before. Penix does not look comfortable under center, and no teams runs more under center.
You draft him number 8 overall with a guy that won't go under center. I will not believe that, Nick. Yeah. I will not. I won't. You make him comfortable.
Yeah.
You flip him around in Rocky 2 and you're going to fight right-handed. You're going to punch with that right arm until it falls off.
Yeah.
I jab with your left, until it falls off. We're going to turn you to southpaw. I will not believe that you can't hire a coach because Penix doesn't feel comfortable under center. If that is even close to true, someone's fired. Yeah. Someone is fired now.
And the other aspect of that is his knees, right? Are we going to go full pistol like Kirk Cousins early on? I don't know. And then you have Joe Brady, who stands out. I do like what Joe Brady has done with the power element there in Buffalo, but he has the cheat code in Josh Allen. So, is Brady actually a great coach? I mean, he's obviously good, but when you have the superstar quarterback, it's just really hard to break these guys down. So, yeah, we'll see. And Mike McDonald obviously would have been a heck of a hire in hindsight, but is what it is.
So there was one on here, AJ talking about with the players we have, you can't sell them on a player like Richardson and expect them to believe you're trying to win. I wasn't talking about, like I said, I brought up Anthony Richardson as a guy who was taken number 4 overall, got 2+ years to compete and was benched. So, what can you do? You bring in a better backup, a cheaper backup than Kirk Cousins, best backup in the league, Mike Heine. First off, 37-year-olds who are on the last ember of their careers who want to start while they still can, at least they think they can. They don't make good backups. They just don't. And, going back and looking at some of this, who are some of the bridge quarterbacks that have had success here recently, Nick? Daniel Jones this year, Sam Darnold last year, Geno Smith probably the year before that, where 1, 2, and 3 were guys like, hey, let's bring in a bridge, see what we got. It can be done. Baker Mayfield. And when I thought of him too, he was kind of signed as the starter. Because the only other one I could find on there was Kyle Trask. It was like $20 million maybe, which is still more savings that is less than you will save by cutting Kirk Cousins next year. So you could cut Kirk Cousins, sign Baker Mayfield at that contract at the time, and still save money. And you're bringing in competition and a good backup and a 1-year deal, and a 1-year deal. So they're young enough where they want to fight for it. So
the name I did want to bring up, though, Scott's still talking coaches. I still got my eyes on LaFleur in the Packers. I think all Falcons fans should be hoping that Green Bay burns to the ground this season. They did an all-in move, and I think Jacobs has a knee sprain. He might be out for a bit. Hurts both my fantasy teams, sadly. But Packers have a really tough schedule down the stretch overall, Scott, and they're talented, so we'll see what happens. But Vikings, that defense is really good. They could win a brawl at the Lions. They play the Packers twice. They go to Denver. They have the Ravens week 17, and then on the road against the Vikings. Now, Vikings, McCarthy looks like the worst quarterback in football right now, so maybe dodge bullet there on that one, taking Penix instead. But right now, I think that the dream is the Packers absolutely flame out, and they're like, look, I feel like the Packers organization's like, I feel like we've reached our ceiling with LaFleur. Maybe it takes a trade. I'm not sure, but you obviously have the Atlanta ties there. He's been so successful. He brings a proven system. So that's the dream right now, I think, for the Falcons is LaFleur.
He's got the what seems to be the prerequisite, the pre-established relationship. Mm-hmm. If you're not already buddies with blank, then you don't really have a chance. Mm-hmm. Oh, goodness. And I did see
Carrie also in here. She asked about 2 bridge quarterbacks and Jacoby Brissett and Mac Jones. Both those guys signed 2-year deals this offseason. So you have to trade for them if you're going to do that. Falcons don't really have the picks to be doing
or wait for them to get cut on something like that for cap reasons. But as backups, they're probably not overly expensive.
No, they're not expensive. They've been too good to move on from. They are valuable assets. I would expect a day 2 pick for the cost for those guys.
Maurice Bonney, Urban Meyer would have been better than this. Man, Urban Meyer is probably on my top 5 list of people I dislike the most in all of sports. I think Steve Sarkisian's probably number 1 on that list. Charlie Weiss might be number 2. And Urban Meyer is pretty close to being in there. I've said a zillion times, I don't mind an a-hole. I can't stand a hypocrite. And Urban Meyer is we're going to do things better and cleaner and blah, blah, blah. He's a hypocrite of the highest order. And Maurice, let him go to college and be a dictator. See if that works. But I know you were joking too. And I appreciate both you being a member with the bird and the super chat on there too. So thank you. Thank you so much. Curtis coming in for a 3rd time. He's got the hat trick already. He says, agreed. Someone should be fired if you draft a broken toy, but I guess we can't be surprised since we gave $100 million plus to another broken toy. That alone is a fireable offense. So we talk about, there isn't anybody in here that still, there might be one person, we've got a couple thousand people watch this and listen to this every episode. So there might be one person out there that still is in Raheem Morris's and Zach Robinson's corner that aren't related to him. But I think it's pretty well a consensus that the Falcons fans want a coaching change. There is a little bit more defenders, more backing for Terry Fontenot, but listening to Ari right there, he had his hands in this hire as well. He was part of the crew, and we all know it's a collaboration. Everything we do is a collaboration. That way, nobody ever gets the blame. We can just blame the collaboration. And frankly, I've said it before, I don't think Terry's done a good enough job assembling a roster with 5 straight losing seasons to keep his job anyway. But if you're going to paint him with he's also partially responsible for Raheem Morris and his failings, I don't think there's any way you can say, oh yeah, Terry Fontenot needs to be back. I think you fall off of that. If you're on the fence, I think general sentiment means you've been pushed at this point. And it sounds like, again, Ari makes it sound like a house cleaning, Curtis. I think that's the way it sounds. And I think that's what a lot of us want, man. From Rich McKay on down, you're not changing blank, not yet. Father Time's going to have to do that, y'all. I hate to be morbid, but that's what it takes for ownerships. And it sounds like there could be a house cleaning coming because Kirk Cousins ain't going to come in with this Miami Dolphins offense of no Drake London, no wide receivers, Darnell Mooney, Casey Washington, and David Sills, and win games. One more thing, and I'll pan it over. I've been going for a while. This is one more I wanted to have. You spend, going back to Rusty's point, you spend $100 million, $50 million a year on a quarterback. You draft a quarterback number 8, and you are underdogs. The Atlanta Falcons are 1.5 underdogs to the New Orleans Saints with their anointed $50 million quarterback under center. Wow. That is just a kick in the nards. It should be that alone. I should be able to tell you they're 3-7 underdogs to the 2-8 rebuilding Saints, and they've got their $50 million guy under center that you hand chose. You're fired. Okay. Go ahead, Nick. Sorry.
Yeah, I just disappointment. I'd have seen some comments that maybe we're overreacting. I mean, this team, it was not a must-win season, but it was a must-be competitive direction season. And right now, you're sliding backwards. And obviously injuries are a part of it, but injuries are a part of pretty much every team. It just doesn't seem like there's obviously not fan belief, and there doesn't seem like there's internal locker room belief now either. I mean, you had that really good Bills game, and couldn't really build from there. Have Falcons won since the Bills game even? I mean,
no, they've lost 5 straight since the Bills game. Since that statement victory, they've lost 5 straight.
Yeah, yikes. I mean, what can you even say? Feels like a dead man walking. I mean, I've been getting the Atlanta radio clips on the X Machine Twitter as well, talking about it's just inevitable. Raheem Morris and Terry Fontenot out at this point. And yeah, Dirty Bird says they're a full-blown free fall. Yeah, it's to the pit of misery for this Falcons team right now. It is too bad. Maurice comes in and says, "Gotta laugh so I don't cry." Bobby Petrino is the most hated for me.
It's a good shout on Bobby Petrino. It's a good shout. He's been out of my vision for a while, so that's a good shout. And Maurice, I went to Auburn, and I was covering recruiting during at the time. I was knee deep into the plane gate when he stabbed Tommy Tuberville in the back too. So he's been a poor character human being for a long, long time, Maurice. That's a good shout. Thank you, my friend.
Yeah, no love for Petrino at all. But Falcons do not have a lot of picks. They don't really have a lot of assets. I mean, if you really wanted to tear this thing down, you could probably get a really good picks for London and even still Bijan, even though he's 2 years into his career. This is year 2, right? Year 3. Ugh, man, you hate that.
You got 2 years of cost control on him if you were to move him. With a 5th-year option, and he'd be worthy of a 5th-year option. He's certainly it's a set number. And it's not that expensive unless he makes a Pro Bowl this year. If you're the Falcons, you want him to kind of keep floundering if they're going to lose anyway, because him making the Pro Bowl is an extra $4 million on his salary in his 5th-year option if he makes a Pro Bowl this year.
Yeah. Yep. No, hopefully you can't hear that in the background. It sounds like the dog found the cat food empty bowl, but there's a lot of clanking. Summit, stop it. But yeah, no, we got Edward Brown coming in 2026, says will be the 6th year in a row we open the season with a new quarterback. I can already hear the chants for Arch Manning. Yeah, we'll see what happens with the quarterback room. I mean, we're way ahead of ourselves here. But yeah, if you're picking in the range where you have a top 5 pick next year, has to be in the conversation.
I think Penix starts next year. I think he's the starting quarterback week 1 next year. So,
yeah. But you think he's healthy enough to be out of the gate starting? I hope so.
I do.
I really do.
I think what'll happen with a partial and not multiple ligaments, you can be as a quarterback. He can be back out there in 6 months throwing. As far as throwing well, I think he can be back out on the practice field in 6 months, and I think he'd be ready in. What are we at? We're mid-November. We're talking September 1st. So full 8 months, 9.5 months. He can have a baby. He can have a baby in that time. So I think right now, my money would be, if I was setting betting odds for FanDuel, I would put Michael Penix as the far and away favorite, and I would say you're out of your freaking mind if you think Kirk Cousins is playing on a $57 million cap hit for the Atlanta Falcons. Well, you can always do restructures. You think they want to put more money into the future on him? They want to get out from under that contract so bad?
Yeah.
Not bad enough, that they're not restructuring and pushing more money into the future. Oh, that's a good idea. Let's make sure we're paying them in 2027 too. No way. Arch Manning is he's a flawed quarterback, but when you see him throw, you can say, oh yeah, I see why. I see why he was getting all the hype. He's and to be fair, the best thrower of a football I ever scouted. I said I always considered scouting like treasure hunting. One of the best I've ever seen. Well, Ryan Perrilloux was one down in LSU. Chris Leak, if you remember him, God, he's pretty. He's just 5'11", but it was Jamarcus Russell. Jamarcus Russell was so good. He was so good. He could just show up and not give a damn and still go number 1 overall in the NFL draft. So Arch Manning has got the tools without a doubt. Hopefully the experience will come with it, because he's not a great quarterback right now, but you see it. You see why he was hyped up. Let me see here, Larry.
Incredible too. At
hello, Summit.
State. Yeah, hey, Summit. I'm glad you got your snack there. Julian Sayin at Ohio State's also. He's a little bit shorter, but I mean, I know he's throwing to 2 first-round picks at Ohio State wide receiver too, but he's looked pretty good this season. I would keep his name in mind as well for 2027, but we're way ahead of ourselves.
Larry says, Scott, have we talked about how the defense seems like they're regressing? And honestly, Jesse Bates seems like he's going downhill. I think they'll keep Raheem for another season and bring in a new offensive coordinator, in my opinion. I don't. And part of it is I just don't think that the season will rebound. If you think that they can, win 5, I hate 17 games. It's so habitual. They're 3-7 right now. It means they have 7 left. Win 8, they'd have to go 5-2.
Don't worry, we're going to have 18 season. Or 20
they'd have to go 5-2, right? Yeah, 5-2 to have a losing season. 6-1 to have a winning season. 5-2 at 8-9. Oh, they finished. Look how strong they finished. I'm not having it. They're underdogs to the. Oh my God! I almost marked. I knew I was going to lose my temper. I almost marked this as not safe for work and not kids. They're underdogs to the Saints, and no offense to the Saints as an organization, but the Saints are tanking this year. This is admittedly a rebuild year for them, and they're underdogs to the Saints.
Yeah.
Probably be underdogs to the Jets too. Both 2-8 teams with your 50. Let's not forget, Kirk Cousins was supposed to be the starter this year. That's why you gave him a 2-year, $100 million deal. Your quarterback is under center. Penix wasn't supposed to take over till next year. And you're underdogs to the Saints. Come on, man. And JB3, he's not playing great this year. He's not having, even when the Falcons were playing really good defense. I mean, that said, I think they're still top 3 in passing yards against, even after giving up 450 to Bryce. They're not really passing on the Falcons still until then. But yes, the defense is regressing. And part of that is lack of third down conversions, time of possession, some injuries on the defensive line, complete lack of depth. You lose Divine Diablo and your defense goes out the window. Meanwhile, the Denver Broncos and the devil himself, Sean Payton, lose their captain and Alex Singleton to testicular cancer at linebacker. And they go out and beat the Chiefs.
Without the defensive player of the year.
Yeah, without their defensive player of the year and starting running back and starting left guard. Everybody's injured. This is a lack of belief, coaching in the margins, and lack of depth, which is a complete and total organizational failure.
Yeah, I'm with you 100%. This does seem like dead man walking. I mean, ideally, you're bringing in an offensive coach. I just don't know what lines up right now. You're going to obviously interview, and they'll bring in their binders or whatever. If LaFleur doesn't become available, Scott, the one that's my favorite right now is Saleh out there. I think he keeps some of the same defensive principles. Maybe he has some tie over with the staff, and he's been enough been in enough trees now that maybe he can pull in a good offensive staff to support him as well. But I've been really, really impressed with what Salah's done. You talk about overcoming injuries, Scott. How about without the best linebacker and the all-decade team linebacker for a lot of the season, and they're losing 3 of their top 5 pass rushers as well, and they're still winning football games out there. So I do think Salah is somebody who obviously deserves another shot. And I think because he's been such a problem solver and the CEO type as well, I'm going to give him a little bit of a pass for the stink that was the Jets and also the Aaron Rodgers Jets specifically. I mean, that was with Woody Johnson there. I mean, nobody's succeeding out there. So Salah, I think, is somebody he'd be high on my list.
No, I think Rodgers, I wish Rodgers would have gone to Pittsburgh 2 years ago while he still had something in the tank and gotten to play for Mike Tomlin in an established organization like the Steelers, instead of what we're seeing, with the Jets. It'd be like, coming here. It's a sideshow. The Jets are a sideshow. The Falcons are a sideshow. Game recognizes game, and they're a circus too. So, and Sam 5-2, and again, that's 5-2 just to have a losing season. They need to go 5-2 to have a losing season.
Yeah,
it's not just with Kirk Cousins and no Drake London. I mean, the Saints are favored for a reason, for sure. And Marky, I don't know where you're coming from, brother, as far as give us 5 good games, Kirk, let's go. Are you like trolling at this point? Have you watched Kirk Cousins in the last 12 months?
He's Joker laughing. He's just, there's nothing else to do.
But he started, like, some of it was like, I'm not sure, because I've had some of these comments in my in some of my mentions and stuff that sometimes it's hard to tell. This guy, I just banned him again. I didn't ban him for what he had to say. I banned him for being a dick. About Kirk Cousins. You said he was awful. I'm like, he has been awful the last 12 months. Well, that's the core. He's got no offensive play callers, and the receivers are dropping passes. I'm like, yeah, and he stinks. And part of the reason they're dropping him is because he's throwing hospital balls out there. He about got Drake and Darnell killed. He doesn't have it anymore. And he hasn't since the first 6 weeks of last year. And he doesn't want to be here. All is bad. So Rusty says, can the Michael Penix injury be the straw that breaks the camel's back as far as Terry goes? Injury prone cornerback, top 8. It's going to hurt seeing LA pick at number 3. I think a 5-12 season should be enough. Even 6-11. I said 7-10 would be enough to clean house for me. Again, I put it this way. Forget all the money that's been wasted. Forget that you borrowed against the future to be good this year. So you don't have a first-round pick next year. And again, I don't necessarily think that was the wrong move, but you have borrowed against the future, so I should be better this year. And I walk in and say, I'm going to use 4 top 10 picks, 6 first-rounders overall over the next 5 years, but I'm not going to win a game. And we're still going to have quarterback questions, and I'm going to spend $100 million on a free agent quarterback for 2 seasons. And we're still not going to have a winning season, and we're still going to have a lot of uncertainty going into my 6th year. Would you hire me? Would you hire me? Then why wouldn't you fire me for those results?
Yeah, it's
logical, y'all. It's plain old logic. It's not feelings. I feel like he's done a great job. How great? He got some good picks in the top 10. Yay! Good for him. You're supposed to. You're not supposed to be drafting in the top 10 every freaking year. You're supposed to win some games.
Yeah.
Last year's draft was awesome, was it? Michael Penix is on the bench. I know it's PFF, but if I go look at Brandon Dorlus and Rook Arroyo, you know what? Do you know where Rook is ranked? There's 124 interior defensive linemen ranked by PFF. Do you know where Rook is rated based on his grade?
116.
120.
Okay.
120 is where Rook is. That was a first-round pick, too, let's not forget, because I think he was taken 34th, and they traded up to get him. That's the equivalent of a first-rounder. So that's 7 first-round picks, the equivalent of 7 first-round picks in 5 years. You're done. You got to be, guys. I don't know how you could say it's not his fault. Well, he didn't hire Arthur Smith. That's true. That was an Arthur Smith pick when he picked Kyle Pitts. All right. That was an Arthur Blank thing when he picked Kirk Cousins. That and Arthur Blank wanted Michael Penix to have multiple quarterbacks. That was Arthur Blank. And Rich McKay. And it was Rich McKay that hired Raheem Morris. Then what the hell are you doing here? Then what's he even doing? If you're going to make an excuse for every bad move the Falcons have made and then praise him for every good one while you're still losing, what's he doing here? He's gone too. Clean the whole freaking house. Okay. I told you it was going to get a little spicy. I went from like acceptance. I was a little mad on Monday. And then as I review all this stupid crap they've done over the last 5 years, then I start getting mad. Millions and millions, hundreds of millions of dollars flushed down the toilet pisses me off.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a failed era, no doubt, in Atlanta. And the thing that's the most not the most frustrating, Scott, but insult to injury is that while Tampa has been good, this has been an era where the NFC South has been available. The top rung.
It's been open.
I don't know if there's a division that's been as poor top to bottom as the NFC South over the Terry Fontenot era. It's not like you have a superstar quarterback or a powerhouse program in the NFC South. I mean, Tampa, again, has done well, but they are obviously more of a 5th to 10th best team in the NFC. Typically, you'd see them more of a wild card kind of squad, in my opinion, talent-wise. Credit to Jason Light out there in Tampa, I guess, all the same. But, yeah, no, it's a opportunity cost. And, I mean, typically you do like to see coaches with 3 years, but when you put your chips in, to steal a comment from Sam Klontz, like you have, and the results are what they are, it goes boom. You're broke. You're out. You know, the table's done. There's no going back to the ATM. You are time to go home. Good night.
What outside the box move has worked out?
Oh man.
Tight end number 4. Nope.
That really didn't work. God.
100 million guaranteed and then backing them with a bunch of red shirts. Nope. Those are 2 big ones. Those are 2 of the big ones right there.
I guess the only one I could say is Bijan at 8.
Yeah,
but
I think that one has 2, and then there will be some that would argue, yeah, but he doesn't have a Pro Bowl, and Jalen Carter does in a much more valuable position.
Oh,
I would have taken. I'm not gonna. Bijan's a good pick.
Yeah, the one we would have taken, Scott, the one I would have taken was Christian Gonzalez, who looks like a top 5 cornerback.
I would have taken Jalen Carter because I would have wanted to put him in the room with. Oh, he's got maturity issues. Fine.
Calais Campbell.
I've got Calais Campbell.
Grady.
I've got David Onyemata, and I got Grady Jarrett as mentors. Okay, but either way, Bijan's been a good pick as far as the top 10, and that's changed around a little bit, I think. Bucci and his truck, 8133. That is a good looking truck. So what's the news? I'm late. The news, let's recap here. The Ari Meirov, it's Meirov, Meirov. Apologies, Ari, from the 33rd, and he's got a podcast, was saying that he thinks that there's a house cleaning coming. Atlanta's the number 1 hotspot for a coach and GM firing because the people that were responsible for Raheem Morris, the 2 of the big consiglieres for Arthur Blank, were Rich McKay and Terry Fontenot, who pushed for Raheem Morris's hiring that has gone bad. So that's that was the big news. And again, I think most of us here are on board with, okay, Raheem and staff has failed. Move on. It's not getting better. It's getting worse. Terry Fontenot has more of his backers. I am fully on board with he's got to go too. So that's kind of to sum up the show. And the Falcons with their $50 million quarterback are underdogs to the rebuilding Saints, who are 2-8 this weekend after 5 years, with a team that was a year away, with 6 first-round draft picks plus several high second-round picks that you traded up for, and a $50 million quarterback there. So, and they're underdogs to the 2-8 Saints, whose starting quarterback retired on them right before the season started.
What a lifeline.
Man, how anybody could to say, oh yeah, we got to keep that guy when it comes to building this mess is beyond me. It really is.
Positives, as Maurice comes in, it does look like Pierce and Walker are guys that it can be.
Yeah, I'm not talking about just good moves. Yeah, those are logical moves. You got no pass rush. You got 2 pass rushers. I'm talking about outside of the box.
Yeah. I just wanted to end on a high note, at least a little bit, because we've been a little doom and gloom. Pass rush has been terrible for Atlanta in the next 3 years, along with Zach Harrison and some of the building blocks you got here. The pass rush, that is something you can build upon going forward, along with A.J. Terrell on the back end. We'll see what happens, but it is nice to have Walker and Pierce to see those 2 guys out there, and that's something that will should keep Falcons fans coming back to the stadium and the tape and everything, even if it does seem like overall the program is beyond stale. It's belly up.
This is my Facebook picture until he's gone. Maurice, what did you put up there, Maurice, on Facebook? He's got Raheem in a McDonald's thing. I don't think I could pull that off. I'd be in trouble if I did something like that.
Maurice, and I'm not saying that the pass rush should save anybody, Dirty Bird. I'm just saying for the spectacle of enjoying the football game and some hope long term, you have 2 cost-controlled guys that look like bona fide plus starters in Walker and Pierce.
Yeah, it's not binary. Just because you think he hasn't done a good enough job overall in the collective doesn't mean he hasn't made any good moves. That's not what we're saying. And I would say that outside of the box moves from the Falcons organization, hiring 2 first-time coordinators in the NFL, that was an interesting move. Zach Robinson, Jimmy Lake, fail. They run now. Ulbrich, they're the only team I saw that hasn't run like any cover 0, none, and they run the most cover 3 while blitzing the second most. So they're leaving space underneath, prevent the big play, hope the pass rush gets there. When it doesn't, you're leaving yourself exposed. We saw a little bit of that. We saw a lot of that last year with Lake, except he didn't rush. He'd play like a cover 7. Rush 4, and then drop 7 guys back to return the punt, and leave 50 yards of space. I would say nobody runs the pistol more than the Atlanta Falcons. When you look at like outliers and the Falcons are there, it's usually a negative. They've run the most pistol in the NFL. They're number 27 in scoring offense. That's an outside the box thing. Why not just try and become? Let's just go for peas and carrots, man. Steak and potatoes. Let's run the ball, play defense, special teams, play action, and find our gigantic wide receivers every so often. And kick the ball through the uprights and tackle the guy when you kick to him. It's a simple game.
Yeah, that's my move this offseason, Scott. Build the offensive line, spend some money on Travis Jones. Assuming the medicals are clear, coming out of Baltimore, get an actual 0-1 technique, and try to build an offense that's predicated on the ground and pound, protect your quarterback. And it doesn't necessarily have to be the best pass protecting unit. You know what's the best pass protection? A good run game, where you're beating the edge rushers down and there's a threat of running every time. So, yeah, we'll see what happens from here. It is obviously unfortunate with where everything's at with this team. 5 in a row. It's crazy, the highs of that Bills game and to where they are now. But Morris does seem like they have an internal locker room spin in the drain. Fontenot's had a long enough sample size now. I think that it's unfortunate. I mean, even if this last class is good, it's the overall sampling where you're at as a program, and it's not good enough right now.
Hucklebuck says, Bates, Ellis, and Diablo were good moves. Period! No, not period. Because David Onyemata was a good move as well. Bud Dupree was a good move as well. Calais Campbell was a good move. Tyler Algier was a good move. Zach Harrison was a good move. Fontenot's made plenty of good moves. He's supposed to. He's also made a couple of big moves that have blown up spectacularly. Mm-hmm. And in the first 2 draft class weren't all that good overall. So, and the team is, again, going on 5th straight losing season and looks like they're in quarterback trouble after spending a number 8 and $100 million.
I always like
quarterback questions.
I'm a nerd, Scott. I always use like the student example, but let's say each of those are pop quizzes and you get A's on them. but you flunk the final. What's your final grade right now? We have the record speaks for itself. So like, even though along the course of the evaluation, you had a few A's and B's in there, your final grade right now is a D-F. So it's unfortunate. I mean, if you think about it like a business, you're in the red. A new CEO needs to come in to run things, or you're
so
Big Brother.
Remember, y'all. Remember how much the media and everybody hates the Atlanta Falcons. Remember that. I think the Falcons, the over/under on wins this season was 6.5. I think it was 6.5, Nick. Would you take 7 wins for this team right now? They'd have to go 4-7 games left, 4-3. They need a winning record to get to 7 to hit the over. I think it was 6.5.
I don't think so.
And remember, they've only beaten the over/under one time in the last 7 years. Once. So basically, the media overrates the Falcons every season, y'all. They don't hate them. The Falcons have underperformed 7 of the last 8 years.
Yeah. Not good. And also, you have on the schedule, just looking ahead, Scott, I got to get going. Got the big boy job. But who are the 2 best teams I've been keep saying in football this season? It's the Seahawks and the Rams. Guess who's coming down the schedule here pretty soon? Rams, Seahawks left on the Falcons. Now, granted, they're both coming to Atlanta, but not much of a home field advantage right now out there in Atlanta. So,
the Seahawks came in and drubbed the Falcons when they were playing pretty well last year.
Hucklebuck doesn't like me criticizing the Falcons. I'm sorry, Hucklebuck. I'm just calling it like I see it here, and I'm more of an NFL fan at large than anything. But
yeah, and
take it as you leave it.
Yeah, then you can. There's others. There's other places you can go listen to people criticize the Falcons. It'll be hard to find anybody praising them right now. So what I do want to give some praise to is all of our members for sure. Thank you so much. And then I want to say thank you to Larry. Curtis has come in a couple of times for sure. Maurice as well, a few. Edward, thank you so much. Larry, thank you for the super chat, and Rusty as well. But we are going to get out of here. If you're not a member, please do so. Also, I wanted to send y'all this as well. We started a free newsletter on our website on SI. Just put your email address in it. I signed up for it just to check it out. I already know what's going on the website. I run the website, but I wanted to check it out, just see how it looks. It looks good. It does. So let me put this in there. Sign up for it. Would love it. And if you could help us out and make sure you're getting all of the information that we're putting out, just not the podcast, once a day, every other day or so. But we will be back. I'm back for the members. We'll see if anything breaks, then we might do an emergency pod. But I'll probably do more members only videos between now and Sunday. But we will be back for a gut reaction after the Saints. We'll see what happens. It could be where a win feels like a loss, where they blow them out and it feels like, hey, things are turning around. Let's go to New York and do it again. Or it could be last nail in the coffin type of not type. So we're going to get out of here. Appreciate all you being here. Have a great rest of your day and the rest of your weekend. Enjoy some football this weekend, and we'll see y'all on Sunday.